Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the 23rd 40k tutorial. Sorry these have been pretty slow, but I've been a bit busy lately, and this has been more than I've expected to be doing. Anyway, this is expected to be doing. I know exactly what I was doing, because that's for the 40k tutorials. What else is it going to be? Anyway, this is an Excision sound, and it sounds like this. Anyway, what's going on? What's going on? So the basics of this sound seems to be pretty it appears to be pretty straightforward, but one thing that might not be obvious is that the sound, it's derived from having, if you listen to the original, which is in the link in the description, you can listen to it and you can see, okay, it's like a higher note over a sub, and that's cool. But what note is it? This is a question, because the song is an F, but the higher note is E. And so you could do this either by, possibly, I don't actually know if it's E or not. I say I don't know because the way I'm doing this is that I have the frequency ratio period, which would normally be an even number, a solid even number like this, but I brought it down to 3.7, which gets us that. And this gives us this sort of interesting feel when we're essentially having it's basically a chord, a very low note and a very high note, but they're not the same note. The person who requested that it be done on a harmer, although I would think that a sound like this would probably actually be better accomplished using FM, just by listening to it. That's just what it sounded like to me. But I did it on harmer anyway because I felt like I could. And so what I've done here is that in the unison pitch window, I have this configuration going on for two voice unison, and this is kind of the sort of fake FM, because if we listen to it, if I get rid of the articulation, I don't want to get rid of the articulation. You can kind of hear that happen. If I turn it high enough, it essentially creates its own tone because of how fast it's modulating. That's not dissimilar from FM itself. But the sound is also static. It's stable. It doesn't really, like when you listen to the original, it doesn't have a lot of modulation past the tone itself. So that's what the articulation units of pitch thickness is for. So that we have a moment where we do have unison engaged, and then it goes down to 0, and we get a static, stable sound. So I've done this in 2 harmers, and this other harmer is essentially just a sub. You don't really need to have another harmer to do this. But in the original harmer, I do also have a sub. I have the A part, which is being the sub. Look at it, we only have the lower harmonics, and it's being distorted against the higher sound. That could be a cool bit of modulation right there as well if you want to mess with it. And then it's being distorted, and I'm high passing it, and then I'm playing a clean sub to come through that's not being distorted. And it's essentially the same sound, only I just turn off part B, and part A is just the sub. And it's because if you listen to the original, the sub is very much clean. It's not distorted. Because if you listen to this without just... you can hear the bass kind of gets a little screwy. So that's why I high passed it and put it in a clean bass. As well, in part B, I'm modulating the pitch so that it has this configuration, which causes it to start low and come high, which gives us that lasery feel. You can have it, be higher or lower. Set it to your desires, and that sort of thing. And then going into limiter, because combining the two, it actually makes it pretty loud. But this is also probably not necessary if you want to be, clipping, because sometimes clipping sounds cool. But this is a pretty straightforward sound. This is the only like, really the thing that would probably throw people is this idea that the higher note is not just a straight up octave. It's what looks like a 7. I always say it looks like a 7 because I have the number 7 involved. I don't actually know if it's a 7. And this is actually you can do this exact same thing in FM8 because it works on the pitch ratio as well. Yeah. Anyway, the patch is available in the description to download, the patch. And so the link to the Reddit thread where you can make a request if you'd like to make a request, and the original Excision track that I tried to reproduce. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.